Group E. Spain, Sweden, Poland, Slovakia. Fun fact, Spain is tied for the most Euro Cup wins. Do you know how many they have?
3?
3.
Yeah.
64, 08, and 2012 back-to-back. Only nation to win it back-to-back. They haven't won a knockout game since winning Euro 2012, so they didn't win any knockout games in 16.
Yeah, I lost to Antonio Conte's Italy. Very, very. That was just a weird game.
This is the most. There are two fascinating storylines for Spain. One of them is with no Sergio Ramos, two things happen, Alan. There are no players from the 08, 2012, the 2012 winners of the Euro Cup.
No, Busquets was on that team.
You sure?
That's the one thing I'm curious about was Busquets, because he's like the only. To me, he's like the last player left from the Spain legendary run.
Spain.
Like, when did he make his debut?
He actually just tested positive for COVID too.
Oh, damn.
5 days before Euro 2020 at the start of us talking about this. So let me see. Was he on that team?
Because I don't think De Gea was on that team yet, because Casillas was the keeper.
He was there for 2010.
So maybe it's just like a squad player then.
Yeah.
But I still consider him like part of the Spain triple run. But obviously, look, Sergio Ramos, he's like the biggest figure possible.
So then that ties into the second point, which is there's no Real Madrid players on the roster. That's the first time ever in Spain's history.
Yeah,
that's big because that's a cream of the crop. That's the biggest club in the world, and not to have no one representing that club on the Spain level.
And I think people will question that given the manager Luis Enrique, his ties to Barcelona. So there are some questions about that. And just leaving Ramos is a big statement. I know he's hasn't been fit this year, and like he's always kind of, you never know if it's always a red card or some sort of drama. But Ramos is still to me one of the top defenders, and he's still someone that so much big match experience. The fact that, and remember, like, I don't know if we mentioned this, but like the Euro squad is 26 compared to 23. Usually the standard is 23, but due to how many games have been played this year and COVID they wanted to put 26. And Luis Enrique opted only to bring 24. So I think the storyline of this group is just how much uncertainty there is with Spain. Because I think this is, to me, the most bland group. I'm not particularly crazy about Slovakia, Poland, or Sweden. I think that these are pretty average.
No Zlatan, baby.
No Zlatan hurts,
Fuck, man.
But to me, this Spain team, there's a lot of uncertainty, and it's not the most exciting group. There's not a lot of like big young talent coming up. And how Luis Enrique, because at the start, he was there, but then he had some sort of health issue. Like, he wasn't manager through parts of qualifying, and then he came back, and like his assistant took over, and then his assistant didn't like that he came back, and he fired the assistant. So there's been some drama in Spain, and then now no Real Madrid players. That's kind of weird, and it's just, I don't know. There's not a lot of buzz for Spain, and even though they're in a favorable group, I do expect them to win the group. I'm not really buzzing for them, and I think. If like I was doing predictions, like I think the bracket works out well for them, but like if there was a big country and the bracket didn't line well for them, I think they're the big one that would flop.
Yeah, Spain, it seems like we might start looking at them 2 tournaments from now as being, because they have like a youth movement coming in too. Right. They got that dude Fernan Torres plays for Man City.
Right.
Pretty sure he scored like 3 or 4 goals against Germany in a
he's one of their young talents. Marcus Llorente on Atletico Madrid. I know that Barcelona has this kid coming out. I don't think he's on the squad though. Ansu Fati. He's like this 18-year-old kid, left winger, so explosive. But he's like one of the new generation. Eventually will come up. But I don't know. It's just not like I don't get buzzed about them. And then I think there's major questions with De Gea. Like I don't think De Gea has been the same. And crazy stat about him: he has not saved a penalty in 36 attempts.
Oh shit!
Think about that.
He's a Jobert when he's in.
Like, think about 36 penalties he's allowed.
And he's considered by many to be like a top 3 goalie.
He was, yeah.
He never, never ever did it for me.
Yeah.
Just something about it, just never.
He got dropped at one point, but the thing is, Spain just doesn't have a replacement for him. And another little cool thing, I guess that's noteworthy about Spain is that this one of Manchester City's main defenders, Aymeric Laporte, was French. Deschamps never called him up, just didn't rate him, and now he just transfer over to Spain. He just got citizenship. So that's another thing. Like, he's never played for Spain, and now he's expected to be one of their main defenders in the tournament. Like, how is that going to work out? So there's just a lot of moving pieces. You want to talk about players that never did for you. Like, for me, it's Morata. I never liked Morata. Decent, he's got good size, good legal play, but he's never been a good goal scorer. Always seems like bad body language. Like, if he misses a chance, head down. Like, he just never one of those strikers that is like one of those decisive finishes you want. So I'm not crazy about Spain at all. I'm not going to be hyping them up, but this group is pretty weak, and I think they'll get through it. But this isn't what like your traditional like 5-star Spain. Like, okay, this is one of your 3 favorites. No, I think Spain's like a top 7 team in Europe right now.
They're going to be strong in the midfield like they always are.
Yeah,
and they're a very frustrating team to watch sometimes too, where it's a lot of possession.
Yeah,
the tic-tac back and forth. It could get very boring watching Spain.
And the thing is, like, they don't have the star power. They like back then you could tolerate it because you had your Xavi's and Iniesta and Fabregas. Yeah. Now it's like there's not a big star really in there.
Poland. They made the final 8 in 2016, their best finish ever. For me, the biggest weakness for them ties to Lewandowski, and it's not him per se. It's the fact that they don't have anyone that could set him up, really.
It's not a lot of creativity.
He scored no goals in the 3 games at the World Cup 2018. He broke a Bundesliga record this year, Alan, 49 years old. 41 goals he scored. But obviously the talent at Bayern is not even uncomparable to what Poland has. But I think that's a big weakness for them, bro, because they have no one to set up Lewandowski, who's probably the best number 9 in the world.
Right.
Like, pure center forward, it's probably him.
I would agree with that. I do think Holland will surpass him in a year or two, though. Hopefully Norway makes a major tournament at some point.
Man, that dude is a problem. And it's also crazy that, like, just going to leave off Mbappe.
We're talking about center forwards.
That's true. Yeah. But back to Poland.
Yeah.
What are your thoughts on Poland? Do you agree that that's the biggest weakness for them? That they don't really have a lot of setting up for.
They're fairly mediocre. I thought they were one of the worst teams in the World Cup back then, and there were high expectations for him. Like, Milik was one of their rising stars. He hasn't really developed. Because they're one of the few teams that plays like their classic 4-4-2, which you don't see very much anymore. But it's just there isn't much there. Attacking wise, like, they're pretty solid defensively. I do like Fabianski, their keeper, even though I think Szczesny on Juventus will be the starter. So I think they're pretty solid keeper wise. But I don't know, there isn't much glamour to the squad. But I do think, given Lewandowski, he'll probably get a couple goals in there, and they'll fight through this group. But Poland, they're not one of, like, the mid-tier countries that I'm necessarily like gonna big up. I think it's just more of like they're in a functional group, and I think Lewandowski alone will push them to the knockout stage.
Sweden, their best finish ever is the semis in 1992. We mentioned no Zlatan Ibrahimovic, who was off, kind of retired, and then got called back.
They brought him back, which was shocking because he made a couple of derogatory statements towards the national team manager, but it's Zlatan.
It's Zlatan, bro. He cuts promos on everybody. Everyone is on the menu with Ibrahimovic. That's why he's such a big fan favorite. They got Forsberg from RB Leipzig, probably their most impactful player, and Isak.
Yeah, he's being hyped up, but to me, I think the player to watch it is Kulusevski, who plays for Juventus. One of the few bright spots here, because Juventus had a terrible year, and they were borderline unwatchable at times. Like, I don't know, Pirlo was just a bad fit, but Kulusevski, he's like this 20-year-old inside forward winger. Be on the lookout for him. He's very exciting.
Slovakia, round of 16 in 2016, their best finish ever. They have the oldest roster in the Euros. 10 players over the age of 30. Hamsik, probably the most iconic player.
Yeah, the Mohawk, legendary. And Skriniar is very good on Inter, but like I have a lot of Irish friends, and like I watched Slovakia, Ireland, quite possibly one of the worst matches I ever watched in my life. Like, Slovakia got here on a playoff through being Ireland and Northern Ireland. Like, they are not very good. I don't expect much from them.
As we've talked about it, very underwhelming group. Even the favorite is.
I told you this is the blandest group to me. Yeah.
How do you have it shaping out?
I have it Spain, Sweden, Poland, Slovakia. Poland is one of the 4 teams I have going through.
That's the same thing that I have too. Spain, Sweden, Poland, Slovakia. Poland being one of them.